Hey everybody, it is Qcknd and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, thanks for clicking. So today I want to share with you 5 of the money saving tips that I implement in my life. I've been doing this for years and I feel like it's something I live with and I feel like have gotten down to a pretty good science. I've benefited and seen results from these tips. And there's something that I just apply second nature at this point, so I wanted to share them with you guys. I don't know how obvious or how practical some of them are for you, but it's good to keep them in mind. Maybe you could share them with friends or family, or you can hear them now and apply them down the road. If you are not yet living on your own, you could probably still try some of these things out and stretch your dollar. For me, my text to all of this is these things will help you save money, but I think they will also just help you be more thrifty, and I think that's the overall goal. You know, you can afford and have enough income to do some of these things all of the time, but I just feel like if you save your money and you're not always wasting it, you can put it towards something else, or you can have a savings account. And I just think that having a little nest egg is really valuable, and something I wasn't able to do until my mid-20s, have a savings account. But once I did, it's just a nice relief and just a nice sense of security, even if there's only $75 in there. So today I want to share with you some of the tips that I use, that helped me live thrifty, live within my means very comfortably. And all of these things I feel like also have a beneficial green footprint on the environment, and that's what we all want. So hang out with me today and I will share all of my favorite tips with you guys. My first tip for saving money is to pack your lunch. If you go to school, if you go to work, especially pack your lunch. I've been packing my lunch for the last 4 or 5 jobs I've ever had, and I can't tell you how much money it saves me. Even living in the city, especially, or working in a shopping center, when I worked at Kmart, everybody would walk down to Subway and get a sandwich every single day, or they would buy something from the grocery section, and over time it just adds up. It takes away from your break, because you're going somewhere, you're waiting for food to be prepared, whatever. Or something I've seen happen a lot in the last couple years is people will get Postmates or Caviar, something delivered to their work. So you're paying a premium for delivery and you're paying a premium for takeout already, and it's already expensive enough to get takeout every day and then pay the premium to have it delivered. So packing your lunch is great. If you work somewhere that has a microwave or a refrigerator, that's even better. If you work somewhere that has a communal space, it might, save you money in the end if you volunteer to bring in a microwave, or in my experience, bringing in a toaster kind of elevated everything to the next level. Even a toaster gives you so many options. If not, dry food or an insulated lunch bag. I got John a really nice insulated lunch bag for Christmas a few years ago, and it saves us a ton of money when he packs his lunch. That, just for me, just number one. Sometimes, I would just grab a microwave meal and bring that with me to work, or literally a bag of frozen vegetables or a canned soup. Canned soup has been my go-to for the longest time, and I would literally bring a ceramic bowl and spoon with me and wash them and bring them home. But the money I saved at the end of the day is so much in comparison to a meal that when you're at work, I feel like you don't even have the chance to enjoy. You're at work and you're fuel, nourishment, a break, I don't care what it is. And that's how we get into habits of spending a lot of money and maybe eating unhealthy as well. So if you can pack your lunch, I swear you will see instant savings. So the next way I love to save money, and I think is great for everyone to consider, is to minimize the cost of your commute by any way possible. By this, I mean if you go to school, if you're driving to work, if there's somewhere you're frequently going, if you can minimize the cost, you're going to see savings. For me, riding my bike has been amazing. The cost and the maintenance of my bike is much lower than a car, and parking is generally free, and getting places is a lot faster if you want to think about time versus money. For me, I generally optimize the public transportation in my city, and you want to minimize the cost of that as well. If your city offers tokens, if your city offers like a bus pass where you can save a little bit of money versus paying cash every time. I know in Philadelphia, I believe you save 25 cents per ride if you buy tokens or use a TransPass card. So your city may offer things like that for you, and it's always amazing to utilize public transportation. Even when I was commuting in and out of the city, the public transportation was the train. And at the end of the month, if you took the train every single day, it would come up to about $200. However, on the train, you have time to read, relax, do your homework, get some things done, and ultimately you're saving on gas and parking if you're commuting to a city. So even if the savings aren't outstanding, like you might be like, well, it only costs me $300 to drive every month, but I'm in the comfort of my own car. I just think that the stress will be less if you're commuting via public transportation. The reliability is still just as high as I would say your personal vehicle, and the savings does add up. If you cannot commute via public transportation, Lyft and Uber and other ride shares always have options where you can buy bulk. So you can buy 10 rides, or you can do share, which has, I think, sometimes 50% discount. In the last couple years, I've met so many people who only strictly take ride share. And more than anything, I recommend considering public transportation, just understanding the route. If the bus only comes once an hour, you can shift your schedule to figure out what works for you so you are getting on that bus once an hour. My best friend from back home, she takes a bus that only comes once an hour, and she does a really great job, centering her life around that. And I don't think it took a lot of effort for her to shift. But when I was out where she lives, the Ubers are kind of on the higher end, between like $13 and $20 per ride. So she saves 90% taking the bus, and I think, it's a really great and easy savings. Plus, I also feel like a lot of people miss out on the public transportation opportunity. I've met people where I was like, where do you live? Oh, that's right by a train stop. And they're like, what? Don't isolate yourself by taking rideshare and being the only person in the car. Immerse yourself in your community, take the bus, take the train, hear what people are talking about. And I just think that other than the savings, just being immersed in your community is also, of wealth. So this next one might be a little controversial or might hit you where it hurts, but my next money saving tip is to eat at home. Asterisk, prepare your food at home yourself. And I know this can be difficult because we are in a time right now where Postmates and Caviar and Uber Eats have spread, and they're a lot more globalized, and you might live in a little town and all of a sudden you have all these delivery options. But I can't stress to you enough how much money all of that stuff costs. And you can rationalize it in the moment. You're like, hey, we're watching a movie, I don't want to run out. But over time, I've seen all these tweets that are like in debt from Postmates, and I know it might be a joke, but I get on my little brother with this all the time. It's almost like a blind fury. My brother spends so much on Postmates, and it's ridiculous. My grandma told me he spent $80 the other day on one meal. One thing I really like doing is going grocery shopping with a friend and then preparing the meal together. I think often this seems like it's something that is reserved for like an intimate person in your life, but I really don't think it has to be. My friend Justine, we recently redid her gallery wall, and after we spent like $75 on supplies, both of us decided like, let's just cook at your house. We'll do the gallery wall, we'll take a break and prepare a meal together. Like, we hadn't done that since we were kids. So, well, this is something we do a lot, but every time we do it, it feels like we're kids again. Because after school, we would prepare our meal and then go do something. We never ate out. So it is a nice moment that you can share, and it's always going to be so much cheaper. You're going to have more food, and you get to have that intimate connection. I feel like a lot of the luxuries that we pay for remove the communication and the feeling of intimacy we may share with somebody because we prioritize convenience. I think the things that save the most money usually are with another person. There's community involved. A lot of times, if I'm saving up for something or just made a big purchase, I'll make sure I'm eating at home. And if a friend wants to come hang out, I love to say, can I cook for you? Can we shop together? It's always cheaper and just a more enjoyable experience in my opinion. It may take longer, but I'm not doing anything more valuable anyway. So my next tip feels like it's going to cover a huge, wide spectrum of things, but I promise you it's just one tip that is all encompassing, and that is mend, buy used, coupon, thrift, upcycle. All of these things I feel like fall under buy frugally. And by being frugal, I just mean finding the best deal or taking something that already exists and fixing it, or just shopping around. I think a lot of us do a really great job shopping around to find the best deal, but that doesn't always exist online. You can do that in the physical world as well. Even if it's aided by like using Craigslist or like a Facebook marketplace. I really like this because I grew up thrifting, and then when I got older, my roommate, she would always use Craigslist to buy things I never thought of. She would buy a vacuum, she would buy a bread maker, she would buy a rug. And all of these things, you know, take her and they put her and immerse her in the community, but she also saves a lot of money on something that doesn't necessarily need a big piece of her budget. Like buying a vacuum can be really expensive, but it's something that people, you know, often upgrade or downgrade and get something smaller. So there are things that you can find on Craigslist relatively often. If you don't want to buy used necessarily like a rug, you can buy thrifty or coupon or use some of these like big box outlet stores. I feel like some of them don't always have optimal savings. Like I feel like every time I go to Big Lots, everything is market price. But we did get our bedroom rug from Ollie's. We had been waiting to buy one for a little while. I think the store was like 15% off and I had a 20% off coupon, and we went and I felt like I was getting away with robbery, but we waited and bought the rug pretty affordably. I know it's really easy with like instant purchasing, Amazon, and instantly buying things like that to jump and just buy it very quickly or instantly, but sometimes waiting to find it, you know, used or thrifted or upcycle something that you already have. I think that you can get a lot of satisfaction out of, you know, finding an old chair and reupholstering it so it fits a new vibe or looks brand new after it's been torn versus buying something new. Even if with supplies and stuff, you're like, well, am I really saving that much money? I think that there's something really gratifying about, you know, putting on a tutorial, learning how to do something and using your hands. Once you get into this like mindset of fixing things yourself, you kind of unlearn that desire to buy things new. And it takes a little while, but you know, same with that chair. Like if you're redoing your room and you're like, I can't use this green chair. Oh wait, I can sand it and then restain it, or I can reupholster it. I feel like it opens your eyes a little more. For me personally, I've almost like cursed myself in this like thrifty mindset. I really have found myself not wanting to buy things new, which can be frustrating, but for me, like if I need something, often I'll wait to find it used or wait to find it cheaper or wait to find it thrifted, or I just like won't do it at all. Which, you know, I don't think is that unhealthy of a behavior, so I don't totally mind. So my final tip for saving money sounds a little bit like my previous tip, but my final tip is to declutter. And I'll tell you why it sounds kind of like my previous tip in a second. When you start to declutter, you know, you're removing things from your house that you have too much of. And you know, while you're decluttering, you know, you may be downsizing a collection that's worth value. Like if you're decluttering some clothing, you can put it up online, you can go to a consignment store, if you could sell your comic book collection. Like some of the things that we keep in our homes can be valuable. So you're saving money there. But at the same time, when you start to declutter, you are faced with the things that you buy in excess. You know, I recently decluttered my fridge and I feel like I'm already experiencing the savings just by getting rid of all of the junk food and things I never ate or things I bought on impulse, I see what the things, you know, my family actually eats and the things I actually gravitate towards. And I also have a better idea of what is in my fridge now that it's all cleared out. And this last week, I've done an amazing job of taking care of leftovers, eating things before they expire. And normally I would go to the market once or twice a week, and I have not gone since I have cleared out my fridge. It's been an amazing journey, but I'm eating better and I'm more conscious. Same for clearing out my clothes, clearing out my makeup. Ever since I did my makeup clear out, I have not purchased new makeup. And before, I would go to the store and pick up a little thing because I thought I was almost out of it or I hadn't seen it for a while. And that's just because there was so much clutter. And when there's physical clutter, I feel like there's also like a mental clutter, like a fog that you're in because you're used to just replenishing and buying more until, you know, you're faced with all of the things that you've been buying. Once you clear out and, you know, do some decluttering, your physical hands are in the things that you own and you have a better idea of what they are and you get to touch them and experience them. And decluttering, I feel like in that way, has saved me so much money. It's a trickle-down effect that I feel like just has so many benefits. I kind of declutter my clothing pretty regularly, and I can tell you I won't buy any clothes new. I won't. I have a really good understanding of how I consume clothes and fashion, and I only have that grip on reality because of the last 2 years where I have regularly gone through my clothing when I feel like I have too much or too many things I don't use. And I can, you know, 100% say, before that mindset, I was buying new clothes all the time. Every time I went downtown, I would go into H&M and go into Forever 21 and just go in the stores every time. Every time I would go into Urban, every time I passed it, I would go into Urban. It just was a ritual I had. And now I don't do that. So it takes a long time, but I swear the savings come to you. And buying a t-shirt or a pair of shorts or something every time I went out was just a giant hole in my wallet. And I didn't think there was a problem. I felt like it was very social. So these are my tips to help you guys and to just say them out loud because I'm a little proud of them. I feel like there's a ton of things, you know, other than that I do that help me save money, but those are the main things that I feel like are social and, you know, kind of like a little problematic and something I see amongst friends and family and something that I've been guilty of. So I wanted to share those tips with you guys today. If you have any other tips or you would like to see another video like this, definitely leave the comments down below. You know, I think about things all the time that I'm a little bit frugal about. So if you'd like to see more videos like this, definitely let me know. If you want to see any of my videos about clear out or anything like that, I will leave them linked below. Anyway, I love you guys so much. Thanks for watching. And if you're new here, definitely remember to subscribe, hang out. I have a ton of lifestyle videos that kind of circulate around this, so I'd be glad to have you on board. Anyway, bye.